Hi, I'm Hal. Welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be something a little bit different. I am going away with some friends on a little trip to, well, like half an hour away from where I live, basically. But we are staying in like a big old fancy house, a big old fancy castle, I believe. And I thought that whilst I'm there, basically we're in this place together hanging out. There's no Wi-Fi. We're basically going to be, going on some little trips, hanging out together. We've done this before, and the last time we spent a lot of time like doing jigsaw puzzles, working on crafts and things like that. We're probably going to play a game of Dread, something like that. It's going to be very fun and very cute. So I thought it would be fun to read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt whilst I was there, and as I have explained before, I'm very specific in my reading habits. I try and read around 65 pages a day and also listen to 65 minutes of my audiobook. But I thought, well, this is a really chunky book. This is like 800 and something pages. If I read it at that speed, it's going to take me about 2 weeks. So I thought it would be fun whilst I'm away for like 5 days to see if I just sit down and read whenever I want to, for however long I want to, how long is it going to take me to read this book, whilst also like being on a little bit of a holiday and vlogging that and seeing kind of what's fun around that. I know very little about The Goldfinch, I'm going to be so honest. The main reason I was interested in picking it up is because I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt this year, and I absolutely loved it. And part of the reason I loved it so much was the writing, so I thought it would be interesting to pick up one of the other books that Donna Tartt has written. I do know that it's it's about like two boys who are drawn together, crime. The painting The Goldfinch might have something to do with it, which is really funny because I've known about this book for like years and years and years, in the same way that I've known about The Secret History, in a very real way, because if I move to the side here, you can see I literally have a postcard of the painting, because when I was in my first year of university, I was in a room which I shared with a roommate. And whilst we were living together, the painting came to the National Gallery of Scotland, because I went to university in Edinburgh. And so we went to see this painting, and I got a postcard from that experience. And the reason that we went to see this painting is because my roommate had read The Goldfinch and really liked it. So like, in a real way, this book has been haunting me since like 2016, 2017. And seeing that I read that, I thought I would pick it up. In terms of, what the back of this book says is, age 13, Theo Decker, son of a devoted mother and an absent father, miraculously survives a catastrophe that otherwise tears his life apart. Alone and rudderless in New York, he is taken in by the family of a wealthy friend. Theo is tormented by longing for his mother, and down the years he clings to the thing that most reminds him of her, small captivating painting that ultimately draws him into the criminal underworld. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be reading, and we're going to see how much of this book I actually get through. Obviously today is Saturday, I don't go away until Monday, so I probably will just read like a normal amount for me today and tomorrow, but yeah. I'll be back to vlogging when I actually go on this trip. The other thing that I wanted to show you before I leave is the knitting project that I've been working on. So I do knit, I do enjoy knitting. This is one of the second jumpers that I ever knit. Mainly clothing that I then wear. So what I have been working on is, I'm gonna hold it up, it's gonna look insane for a second, but unfortunately that's just how this project looks. So I have been working on, if I bring it up here, this is the Bernadette Turtleneck by Fabel Knitware. I believe I should have looked this up before starting this video. I will just have to put a correction. As you can see from the sleeves here, This is a Victorian like cycling sweater inspired jumper. It is a lot more modern in its construction and I think overall fit as well. I just thought that this would be fun because it's a bit of a lighter thread. This is in a fingering. I'm knitting this in a fingering weight thread. It's also just mainly plain stockinette, as you can see. So the wool that I've ended up using for it is a hand-dyed wool called Dracula by Penny Knit Crafts. And as you can see, it's just this gorgeous like red that's like slightly variegated with these speckles of black, which I saw at a wool fair that we went to, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. I already knew that this was a project that I wanted to do, and I wanted to make it in a red wool because of the way that I am and the things that I wear. It's basically like I wear these colours or I wear like red, black and blue. And I wanted to have something that fitted in more with my like red and black wardrobe. Yeah, I just think it's like suits my hair and things like that. So that's also probably going to be something that you're going to see me working on. I do think this is a really fun pattern to work on, I have to say. You basically cast on the neck, you work all the way down the neck, you then obviously start increasing kind of. You're doing raglan increases, but this side of the raglan is like 2 stitches in length, and that becomes like your shoulder seam instead of like a sleeve section, head-like section like this, which gives it more of an impression of like satin sleeves rather than like a raglan sleeve head. But you don't have to sew anything together. It is all attached as one piece. So yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. Very excited how this comes out. So those are kind of the things to expect, I guess, from what I'm going to be doing for the next week or so. to film a quick update. It's currently Wednesday morning, so I'd say I've been here about 2 days. I'm almost halfway through this book. I am about 420 pages in. It's 860 pages in total. I have some thoughts and I have a bit of a better recap of the plot. I'm really enjoying it. I like with the Secret History, absolutely love Donna Tartt's writing style. I like all the tiny little details that she adds that really set this in place and in time, and with the characters, how that can just be really small details that just make these characters click as who they are. I'm really enjoying the story. We have our main character Theo Decker, who when he's 13 he goes into the museum in New York with his mother to, just before they have to go to a meeting at his school. There's an exhibition on Dutch painters where he sees the Goldfinch painting and a bomb goes off at the museum and he manages to get out of the museum, but his mother does not, which means that he's then living for a period of time with the family of one of his school friends. He then gets shipped off to Las Vegas to live with his father. While he's still in New York, he meets a guy who repairs old furniture in the back end of an antique shop. When he's in Las Vegas, he meets a kid around his age, Boris, and they form a very intense, little bit toxic friendship with some, homoerotic subtext. And throughout the entire thing, following the explosion, he ended up taking the painting from the museum as this very literal reminder of this, traumatic thing that's happened to him, and it's carrying around in the same way that he's carrying around the events that happened and the loss of his mother and things like that. And I think that's such an interesting thing to do, and as soon as I realized what was going on, I was like, oh my god. And yeah, I'm having a great time. I don't know if it's also because I don't read a lot of contemporary sprawling literary fiction novels like this, but it might also be because Donna Tartt's a very good writer, that every time I do read one of her books I am completely gripped, and I think it's fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of my update. I'm having a great time. There's a little dog in this as well. Fantastic. I am really interested in how the rest of the story kind of pans out and how things keep on going for Theo. I think it's been about 2 years since the beginning of the book, so yeah, it's very again, I would also kind of say it's quite slice of life in that way, that it's very slow and meandering, and much more about characters and how they are interacting following a situation than a really straightforward plot, at least at the moment. But it is something that I do enjoy, and I like this glimpse that Donna Tartt does give us to these characters, and how these characters are interesting and complicated and have these jagged edges, and the way that she really quickly is able to paint these pictures about who these people are and what they're doing. But yeah, great time. I'm back. It's Friday and I've finished reading The Goldfinch, kind of just a bit earlier today. I am going to insert, I think, probably here, because I track my reading via Storygraph, and obviously, as I've probably explained other places on my channel, I tend to read about 65 pages a day, and obviously for this, the vibe was, I was just going to go, I was going to see how much I could read in a day without putting any limits on myself, being on a holiday with friends. We went to Morpeth Castle, we didn't have any Wi-Fi, just like spending time together and reading and working on my knitting and things like that, and doing some little explorations, little adventures, and I ended up reading about like 180 pages per day for like 2 of them. I think one of them was like about 130, so definitely got through this a lot quicker than if I would be reading my like 65 pages a day, because that's basically like 3 days worth of pages otherwise. Had a great time with it. After I left you about the halfway mark, following on from that, we do skip forward in time, so we skip forward about 16 years I think it is, and we follow Theo now as an adult in his mid-20s, being back in New York, and kind of what he's doing for work, how things are going, things like that. The painting comes back in a real way, other things come back in a real way. I really enjoy both with this and with The Secret History how Donna Tartt sets up all these like dominoes, and then, you know, things kind of fall apart in the second half and you're like, yeah, this couldn't have gone any other way. But yeah, it's just really good. It's obviously a really chunky book. I felt like the pacing was really good throughout this. This wasn't a period of time where I was like bored or felt like it was dragging or anything like that. It all felt good and useful, and it just really is this like look on life and, you know, fine art and furniture conservation at some points. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do also have some quotes that I thought were really fun. There's one bit where he's talking to Toby, who runs the furniture, kind of with the furniture shop, and they're talking about like artwork. This is at the end of the book because I literally just finished it, and I was like, these are like the kind of the most important bits of it. And it's like, what's to say, great paintings, people flock to see them, they draw crowds that reproduce endlessly in coffee mugs and mouse pads and anything you like. And I count myself in the following: you can have a lifetime of perfectly sincere museum going where you traipse around enjoying everything and then go out and have some lunch. But if a painting really works down in your heart and changes the way you see and think and feel, you don't think, oh, I love this picture because it's universal. I love this painting because it speaks to all mankind. That's not the reason you love a piece of art. It's a secret whisper from a hallway. Psst, you, hey kid, yes you. An individual heart shock, your dream, Welty's dream, Vermeer's dream. You see one painting, I see another. The art book puts it at another, remove still. The lady buying the greeting card at the museum gift shop sees something else entire, but it's not even to mention the people separated from us by time. 400 years before us, 400 years after we're gone. It will never strike anyone the same way, and the great majority of people, it will never strike in any deep way at all. But a really great painting is fluid enough to work its way into the minds and hearts through all kinds of different angles in ways that are unique and very particular. Yours, I was painted for you. And, oh, I don't know, stop me if I'm rambling, but Welty himself used to talk about fateful objects. Every dealer and antiquaire recognises them, the pieces that occur and reoccur. Maybe for someone else, not a dealer, it wouldn't be an object, it'd be a city, a colour, a time of day, the nail where your fate is liable to catch and snag. Which, like, yeah, I feel like that about some paintings. Beautiful quote at the end of this as well that made me feel insane. Yeah, I just think, like, I obviously read a lot of sci-fi fantasy books, and they're really fun and I really enjoy them, and like, I'm not saying that sci-fi fantasy can't say things about the world, but it's reading something like this, which is, you know, much more contemporary and it's much more serious about the ideas that it's presenting in terms of like how that relates to the real world that we live in, and just going, wow, this is a really good book. At a certain point I was reading through it and there's a bunch of like quotes and stuff in the front where people are going like, oh, this is fantastic, and I was reading every single one of them and being like, yeah, that's also how I feel about this book. That's also how I feel about this book. So yeah, absolutely great time. So I had a blast. I managed to convince one of my friends who was on holiday with, to also pick up a copy of this book, which we found in a charity shop. So do it. It's great. The other thing that I obviously mentioned working on was my knitting project. That has also been going very well. There was a little bit of knitting. The problem was this is the first time I've done a vlog, and you know, I filmed clips on my phone, but I forgot to pack my camera charger, so my camera was about to die. So I had to save that for, you know, filming the my midway thoughts and stuff like that. So you didn't get a lot of me knitting, but you best believe I have been knitting. Let me just get this the right way around. So we are now kind of, I can't remember if I finished the body the last time, but I finished the body and I'm working on the sleeve. With how the pattern works, I work a certain amount of it just with all of these stitches, and then I am decreasing down so you get the really kind of slim lower arm section. So that's kind of where I'm working, and it was a great time. Very like fun, mindless project because I'm just working in stockinette, but also quite, you know, time consuming. This is a lot of length to knit, and it's not like it's a, you know, a normal sleeve number of stitches. There's like 126 stitches on these needles, so like I'm getting close, but it might still take me a little bit of time to finish that bit of the sleeve. I also want to do like a little bit of show and tell, a little haul from the things that I ended up getting whilst on this holiday. So some of them are more or less interesting in my opinion. I did end up picking up a little magnet. My parents collect magnets, so I always try and pick one up. We went on a day trip to Alnick, which is really nice. We went to a little sweet shop, little like old-timey confectionery shop, and I picked up some Kindle mint cake because I'm that kind of person, and also some fudge, a little little cute little box for Secret Santa at my work. Whilst we were in Alnick, we also ended up going to Barter Books, which is like this huge secondhand bookshop. So I have like the map and the bookmark from there, but I unfortunately didn't find anything that I wanted to pick up whilst I was there. But what I did manage to, when we were still in Alnick, in just one of the charity shops, I managed to find a copy of The Secret History, which I had been looking for basically since I read The Secret History earlier this year. Because I read it from the library, I then wanted to get my own copy. The thing is that kind of new copies that are being sold at shops have really, really stark white pages. Didn't like that. I just felt that that was completely inappropriate for the kind of book that it is. So I've been trying to find a copy of it secondhand, and I have. It is like, it's quite old, it is quite beat up. It is like an older book. From what I could see looking up the ISBN number, this edition is an edition that was first published in 1992. There's like the ISBN number on the side. They're recommending for you to sell it for £6 in the UK and $15 in Australia. As you can see, compared to my copy of the Goldfinch, it is smaller, so it's one of the like older size paperbacks. So I managed to find this for like £2.25, so picked that up. I'm really happy with this. And then, yeah, the main other things that I picked up, so we were in Morpeth Castle, which is a place you can stay at with the Landmark Trust, so we got a little postcard for that. There is a huge antique centre in Morpeth, very near, so I ended up picking 2 postcards. So one of them is a picture of it's a BAC Aerospatiale Concorde. I love planes. This is a secret thing that I just don't talk about, but I really like planes. I like the Concorde in particular. I think it's really cool. I've been to see it as a child. One of my favourite things to watch on YouTube is aeroplane accident videos, where they explain through the fire and report and discuss how aviation has gotten safer. So I saw this and I couldn't not pick it up on account of that. And then also this, which is a little collie dog. I feel like this is more understandable with everything about me. So yeah, those, and then as well, in what is probably the greatest purchase of all time, both me and one of my flatmates really wanted to get this, but we ended up picking a sword. So this is going to live in our house now. But yeah, that is everything. I hope that you've had a nice time with this video. I hope that you're having a good month and that you've been reading some good books. Bye!